Um, Starting off with the five hardest. The hardest schedule in the 20 NFL season is going to be the New England Patriots, who last year went 12-4. They lost Tom Brady. They lost Kyle Van Noy. A lot of key losses to that team. So it's going to be hard. They have a lot of tough games, obviously, to make some of the hardest schedule. Right off the bat, they play the Dolphins. They play them at home. The Dolphins are much improved, but they're still young, and only one player over 30, I believe. And with the shortened off season or the changed off season, they won't really have time to get used to each other, so it'll be different. So they're gonna win that game, and then after that, at that point, they're gonna go from week 2 up until the bye. They're gonna go 3-1. They have a week 6 bye. The one win is gonna be against the Raiders, who I like, but again are young, and they're gonna lose to the Seahawks, the Chiefs, the Broncos. The Broncos, I think, are gonna be a very good team this year. And then after that, they just play a lot of really good teams: the Niners, the Bills, the Ravens. I think the Cardinals are also going to be a really good team this year, very much improved. The Chargers as well. And then I have them losing 3 of their last 3 games: Dolphins, Bills, Jets. 3 AFC East rivals, but I think they're going to lose all 3 games at that point. Late in the season, those teams are going to be used to each other. They're going to be comfortable with each other, put it like that. And so I think their final record actually is going to be 5-11, and they're going to have a high draft pick and a good chance at a top quarterback. So that's what I think is going to happen with the Patriots. Now, during their bye week 6, that could be beneficial, especially if they start off the season with Brian Hoyer, which I don't believe they will. But if they do, and they're underperforming for their standards, then they could insert Jared Stidham at that point and see what he has. And that's the Patriots. That's what I believe is going to happen with the Patriots this year. And so moving on to the second team, that's the New York Jets. Last year, 7-9. They finished the season very strong. A lot of improvements in the offseason and the draft. Mekhi Becton, pick 11. They got Denzel Mims. Joe Douglas did a really good job in the draft. But obviously, again, very hard schedule. So they start off against 3 very good defenses in the Bills, the Niners, and the Colts. That'll be tough. It's still a rebuilding offensive line. So those D lines will give them problems, probably. So I have them losing those 3 games. But then I have them winning the next 3 games. They go 3-3, including a primetime game against the Broncos. And after that, they're gonna lose 4 straight games. Bills, Chiefs, Patriots, Dolphins, and then they'll have the bye. And then after that, they win. They go 4-2 to finish the season 7-9 again. But I do think they're probably gonna sneak in a few more wins than that. That's just what it is right now. But I think there's gonna be injuries and stuff that it's gonna help them go 8-8, 9-7. So that's Jets. Third is the Dolphins in the hardest schedule. So 3 straight AFC East teams. All the AFC East teams made the hardest schedule because they played the AFC West this year, I believe. And so that'll be difficult for them. They also played the NFC West as well. So that'll be rough. So that's why the AFC East teams are all there. But yeah, so they start off the season. Obviously, like I mentioned with the Patriots, they're going to lose that game because they're new. But then they're actually going to surprise the Bills and upset them. They're going to win. Then they're going to beat the Jaguars in primetime. With their only primetime game of the season. Now, I do want to say this. I think the Dolphins are the most improved team this offseason. And of course, that doesn't mean much, but you have to start somewhere. So getting Tua, that helps a lot. And now I'm assuming that Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to play this whole season. That's what this is based off of. If Tua is starting, that's different. It would change. So if Tua does end up starting, I would revisit this to see where I would make some changes. So yeah. But anyways, they play week 5 through 7. They play the Niners, Broncos, and the Chargers, which I'll have good to great pass rushes, so that'll be difficult for another rebuilding offensive line. But yeah, it'll be rough. I have them winning against the Broncos out of those three, but then I have them going on a 3-game winning streak to enter the bye, which is week 11. They're going to beat the Rams, Cardinals, and Jets. I'm low on the Rams this year. I don't think they're very good, but yeah, I have a lot of teams beating them. The week 11 bye, that could be a good spot to insert Tua if they see him improving. And so that's where I think week 11 bye, they can reevaluate. Then they go week 12 to week 17. I think they're going to go 2-4. Week 17, the Bills are going to get revenge for that week 2 game. And they're going to be fighting for playoff positioning. Buffalo is. So that's going to be an important game for them. They're going to lose that game to Bengals and Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow is really good. And he's going to have I think he's going to win Rookie of the Year, but it's a topic for a different time. And yeah, so I have the Dolphins going 8-8 to finish off the season. And that's where they're going to be. And then at 4 are the Niners, coming off that Super Bowl loss to the Chiefs, blowing that 10-point lead. But I don't think the Niners are going to suffer that much after the Super Bowl and from this hard schedule. They were 13-3 last year, but I think next year, I guess, they're going to be 12-4 is my prediction. They're going to start off really strong against 3 teams that are young, rebuilding, the Cardinals, Jets, and Giants. That's 3 straight wins to start it off right off the bat. So that's good for them. So they got a nice little break there. But then they have a primetime game against the Eagles, week 4. That's going to be an L. Then they went 3 straight, Dolphins, Rams, Patriots. Then they go to Seattle and lose. And then they beat the Packers in primetime and lose to the Saints in New Orleans. That's leading up to the bye week. Addressing the Eagles loss, I think the Eagles got better in terms of the receiving core. They added speed in Jalen Reagor, which is important. Last year, the week 1, the only week Deshaun Jackson was fully healthy, they averaged, I think, 6.1 yards per play, which was really high, and that speed factor is very helpful for Carson Wentz. And then the Saints, I think they're gonna come out angry over that loss last year to the Niners. Of course, a great game with George Kittle setting up the game-winning score. So yeah, and that's leading up to the bye week. And then coming out of the bye week, I think they're gonna go 5-1 with their only loss at Arizona, and that's gonna finish them off with 12-4. And then at 5, it's a 3-way tie with the Bills, Falcons, and Lions. So starting off with the Bills, I'm going to try to get through these 3 quickly so I can get to the 5 easiest. Buffalo last year was 10-6. And I think this year they're actually going to be really good. They're going to win the division, in my opinion. But I think the record's going to stay the same. And that doesn't mean they didn't get better. It's just that their schedule, that's what happened. But they'll still win the division. I think leading up to their bye, week 11, that's the AFC East bye, I guess. They're gonna do pretty well leading up to the bye. They're only gonna lose 4 games through 10 weeks, so they're gonna go 6-4. They're gonna start off 3-2 the first 5 weeks, with the losses to the Dolphins in week 2, as I mentioned earlier, and to the Titans, who are coming off the AFC Championship berth, lost to the Chiefs. So that's what's going to happen first 5 weeks. Then week 6, the Chiefs are just better. They improved. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, another Rookie of the Year candidate, who's very good. And then after that, leading up to the bye, they're going to go 4-1, losing to Seattle at home, actually, and Buffalo. So that's leading up to the bye. Then coming out of the bye, they have the Chargers, Niners, Steelers, Broncos, and Patriots. And they're going to lose to the Niners and Steelers. But they're going to win the rest of their games at that point. And after that, we have the Falcons, of course, who went 7-9 last year. This year they're gonna go 6-10. I think Dan Quinn is going to be fired. I just don't think they're very good. So it's unfortunate for them. They're in a very difficult division. Obviously Brady moved to Tampa Bay, entering that division. The Saints are still there. And so yeah, that's gonna be rough for them. The Panthers, I don't think they're tanking actually. I think Teddy Bridgewater, they had a very good draft. I think they'll be better. So that's why I'm with the Falcons. I think it's just gonna be a mix of wins and losses, but mostly losses. So that's gonna be their season. And then the Lions went 3-12-1 last year. And this year, Matt Stafford is back, but I think their schedule isn't set up very well for them to succeed. I think they beat the Bears week 1, but after that, I see them losing a lot of games up until the bye. I see them losing all 3 games up until the week 5 bye. Then they have the Jaguars. They win. They're going to beat the Redskins week 10. And they're going to beat the Texans, I think, in Thanksgiving Day game. They performed well last year against the Cowboys in Thanksgiving, so maybe they'll do that again against the Texans team without DeAndre Hopkins. And then they're going to beat the Bears again. I don't think the Bears are going to be very good. But other than that, all losses. So the Lions will go 5-11. And those are the 5 hardest schedules.